Good evening, everyone. It is 6:02 p.m., and we are late to call this meeting to order. This is the February 1st, 2022 meeting of the Gallatin City Council, and we're going to begin this meeting like we do each of our meetings with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Alexander is going to do both for us this evening. He'll pray for us and then lead us in the pledge. So if you'd stand with me, please.
Let every heart pray. Eternal gracious God, once again, we come with thanksgiving in our hearts. We thank you, dear Lord, for this beautiful day that Thou hast created. We thank you for this wonderful city. I pray, O God, peace among all nations, all countries, all cities. And I pray, O God, that this meeting will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name I do pray, and every heart said, Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Kittrell, if you would call the roll for us, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Present.
Councilman Alexander,
Here.
Councilman Fan, Councilwoman George,
Here.
Councilman Hayes is absent right now, Councilwoman Love,
Here.
and Councilman Overton.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Today is Councilman Hayes' birthday, and his daughter's in town, so that's why he's not with us this evening. Move on now to the approval of minutes. Before you have the January 4th, 2022 City Council meeting and the January 18th.
Motion approved, Bo.
Motion to approve both sets of minutes by Councilman Overton, a second by Councilman Alexander. Is there anyone seeking additions or corrections to these sets of minutes? Seeing none, I'd ask all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. They are approved unanimously. Now we will move on to public recognition on agenda-related items. This is the time that anyone who is here with us this evening can come forward and speak to any item that's on the agenda. If it's not on the agenda, you actually have a period of time at the end of the meeting where you can address anything of interest to you. But right now, it's public recognition on agenda-related items. We ask that you introduce yourself, give us your address, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Public recognition on agenda-related items is now open.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Pascal Jovens, 1335 Longolo Park. Talk about the TIF and the God Farm project. I was kind of amazed last week. We had a nice presentation on Zoom from an expert on this tax break, because that's what it is. And there was not one question asked for you guys. Not one question, even if Mayor, you say you would like to have a lot of questions. There was not one, so I figure you're probably expert on it. So it would be nice if, when it comes, maybe you can take 5 minutes and explain us what you think about the TIF and what you know about it, because it's a little more complicated than it is, and that probably deserve a lot of questions. I went online, look at TIF, because I'm not familiar with what it is, TIF.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking you're saying chief.
No, Chief is back there, both.
Got it, yeah. Chief, okay,
Both chiefs.
got it.
TIF. And I picked up a couple of things online with some word like, I'm going to read that. Many proponents of TIF argue that improvements made under the program pay for themselves. That is, cities and towns assume that TIF will spur new development, increase property values, and create new tax revenue that would not have existed otherwise, which will be used to pay off the cost of the development. This is a risky wager since it assumes that but for the TIF, no development will have occurred in the TIF district and property values will have remained unchanged. In reality, it is impossible to know whether a project will successfully generate the anticipated tax increases. It is also difficult to determine whether property value increase that do occur in TIF district were exclusively the result of the TIF. To be clear, the very structure of TIF is a generous subsidy to those who own property in a TIF district. The tax diverted are not just city funds, they are also school and county revenues. By giving the TIF district first claim on the incremental tax revenues for up to 50 years, is to put this corporation ahead of school, children, public health, and public safety in the city pecking order of budget priorities. For public dollars to pay for new infrastructure is also a costly subsidy. Normally, when a corporation builds a large new project, it pays for the infrastructure. When tax money flows directly to subsidize the construction of private infrastructure and building, that is purely about raising the developer's rate of profit. That's pretty telling things. During the Zoom meeting, the gentleman said that the city would not be liable for any fund because a private gentleman who advanced the money. I read the paper published in the agenda. I'd say nowhere than a private entity who published a fund. They talk about the EDA being able to do bonds to be able to fund the money needed for that project. So that would be nice to know if it's somebody who's going to advance the money or if that's going to be the EDA who's going to publish some bonds to get the money. So plenty of questions. And on top of that, we talk about an interlocal agreement for fire. Again, where is the interlocal agreement? So we kind of pushing staff before having an interlocal agreement, and if that does not happen, who's going to pay for fire? The $18,000 that's going to bring on tax to the city until the increment is implemented, it's not going to pay for fire. So plenty of questions. That would be nice if you had questions too, and we can get answers. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening under public recognition on agenda-related items? Oops. You were early. Okay, so seeing no one else wishing to speak under public recognition on agenda-related items, we will declare that closed. Move on now to mayor's comments. I have just a few things I do want to share with you. First of all, just a reminder that the Stay Warm Shelter is ongoing through the end of February. This is at the gym at First Baptist Church at 260 East Winchester. It's every Friday from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. Also, I just want to mention to you, because COVID kind of put this out of people's radars a little bit, but the American Legion hosts a monthly breakfast out there, and they do a great job, and it's a fundraiser for the Legion, and it is on the calendar to happen this Saturday. If you've never been out there, I think you'll enjoy a really great breakfast and some good fellowship and supporting certainly a very important organization in our community. Now, this one is really important, and you probably haven't seen much yet about it, but you will. The City of Gallatin and the Gallatin Parks and Recreation Department is embarking on a master planning process for our Parks and Recreation system. So, we budgeted the money some time ago. We have hired someone who is doing this helping us, facilitating this for us. And we are going to begin public meetings. The very first public meeting is happening next Tuesday. There are 2 chances to attend. The first one is at 2 p.m., so that's during the day. It's at the Gallatin Civic Center. And later that same day, you can come here to Gallatin City Hall at 5 p.m., and you can come here, kind of give some feedback, see what they're presenting, and begin, hopefully, the process of getting a lot of people engaged in offering their feedback on what they would like to see in our Parks and Recreation future. And so I would really encourage you to do that. Additionally, look out for a survey that's going to be coming from the City of Gallatin that's going to ask for feedback, because while in some ways it's similar to what we did with Plan Gallatin, I honestly think Parks and Recreation is an area of which people feel like they have more connection because it's something that they probably more intimately experience versus the grand city of Gallatin. And so I think that there is going to be a lot of interest and that there will be a lot of people who become involved in that. And so I hope you'll help us spread the word that this is coming, that these meetings are happening, that there's a survey forthcoming. And we will, at the end of the day, have a great master parks plan, and I'm really excited about that. Enough about that. I think that's all I did want to mention this evening. So with that, I'll conclude Mayor's comments and move on to the regular agenda, which the first item tonight is the first reading on ordinance 02201-5, and for that, introduce Vice Mayor Fennell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating funds from sale of recyclables in amount of $16,378.26. So move.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor Fennell, second by Councilwoman Love. Any discussion on this? It's first reading on ordinance 02201-5. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. It is passed unanimously. Item 2 is Resolution R2201-13. Councilwoman George.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution reappointing Ryan Clenod to the Gallatin Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board. I so move.
Second. Motion by Councilwoman George, second by Councilwoman Love. Any discussion, any questions? This is Resolution R2201-13. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. It is passed unanimously. Item 3 is Resolution R2201-14. Councilwoman George, again, you're recognized.
Again. This is a resolution reappointing Derek Jackson to the Gallatin Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman George, second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion? Okay, this is Resolution R2201-14. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It is passed unanimously. Item number 4 is Resolution R2202-15. Councilman Hayes is not here this evening. Councilman Overton, would you mind taking that?
Absolutely. This is resolution, Sumner County, Gallatin, Tennessee, approving the economic plan for Chutes Lane Development Area, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Overton, second by Councilwoman George. Opening the floor for discussion. I'm sure you've got some questions, or you certainly had time to learn more about this and read through.
Mayor, I just want to say.
I think you had the economic impact plan last week.
I just want to say, we've only been talking about this plan. You know, folks get up here and say we're trying to hide something, we're trying to do this and try to do that with this TIF and everything. Man, we've been talking about this plan for about 3 years off and on, trying to get this thing done. So, you know, this council is not trying to hide anything. We're welcome for any questions that residents has or anything else. We're always open for it. This is an absolute win-win for the city of Gallatin. You know, as everybody that heard the last week, and I know a TIF was done in Hendersonville several years ago, and it probably wasn't the best TIF in the world because it wasn't handled the right way. But they have learned their lessons from that, and we have too, because we've never done one. And this is absolutely a win-win for the city of Gallatin. With the sales tax and all the other revenues coming in off of this, the only thing a TIF does in this situation is you don't get any current property taxes on the approved property, but you still get property taxes off the property for the next however many years. You just don't get the approved property taxes, and that's the only thing this TIF it does, is it pays back all the infrastructure, and it keeps the cities and counties and everybody from having to put all that infrastructure in and pay for it as well. But it gets us sales tax. A lot of sales tax will be coming in off this property. This piece of property will be probably one of the highest grossing sales tax revenues when it all gets going that we've got around. And it'll be a win-win for the city of Gallatin and Sumner County. And so I hope you approve this. I'm sure it'll have to come back to us again for final approval on it, Mayor.
Resolution, this will be it.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
We'll see future
Yeah,
things related
so-
to it. But this is for the TIF piece of
And
it.
if I thought that, you know, if you read the TIF and you thought there was going to be some, something to come back on the city, you know, I would have a lot of questions about it, but this gentleman stepped up to the plate. He's going to finance TIF. If they don't make enough money off of the revenue off the TIF, then he's gonna have to eat it. The city and county's not having to pay anything, and I think that's what people need to understand.
Yeah.
A lot of TIFs are not like that, but this one is. And if there's a shortfall in it, guess what? He eats it. And he's the one financing it, and it don't cost us a penny. So that's a win-win for the city of Gallatin.
Well, and I think that, TIF, depending on the risk associated with it and for what kind of project it supports, a lot of times there are people who are kind of suspicious of how it happens. But in this instance, first of all, it's such a unique project. Having an ice rink in a community this size is really an impossibility. There's no private investor that has that big of heart to provide that kind of facility for a community this size, because it's not a moneymaker.
I've been on this council several years, many years, and I've probably had more phone calls in support of this project than any project I've done since I've been on the council.
I've had a bunch.
So
Now, I
that's
want
a win-win
to,
for the city.
reiterate and be very clear about what you said, because I think that's the unique thing that I think people may be missing. A lot of times when a TIF is done in government, it is the government putting up that money, and
That's
those tax dollars are going to pay that
We're not.
government back. And in this instance, it is a private investor with a big heart for an ice rink who is putting up the money, and these property taxes on the development will go to pay him back. And like you said, if he doesn't get paid back in full, he doesn't get paid back in
We
full.
we
and
still
he's
get
well
the
aware
current
of that.
property taxes that's there now. We still get those off of the
But
property.
Not only do we get the current property
All
taxes,
the
which
sales
honestly
tax.
aren't that much.
Right.
We do still get the personal property tax, we get the occupancy tax from the hotel, and most importantly, we get the sales tax.
That's right.
And I think that's where
it's
we're
just a
going to
win-win
see,
for us.
a big increase. I've liked this project from the beginning. I really encouraged it to be a three-entity,
How many meetings have you had on?
marriage, if you will.
How many meetings have you had on this project, Mayor?
How
many meetings have you had on this
And I've
project?
loved every one, because I think I personally could care less about having ice, but I have heard from so many people who want ice in this
Yeah.
community. And I've just learned a lot, both from the Predators and from other cities
Right.
and from the developers, how difficult this is to do without all these pieces coming together. And I just think this is such a beautiful opportunity for our whole county to have an ice rink in the county, commercial development that supports it in our city, and then development that supports it in the city of Hendersonville.
And I
So
don't-
this is our county's ice facility, and the Predators are going to run it for 30 years, and it's just, I think it's such a wonderful opportunity. James Fenton's over there scooting around. I'd invite you to add some comments if you would like to.
Also, if you look at any of the Predators facilities that they have their hand into, you can see how well successful they are. So this is not gonna be any different.
Remember when they made their announcement down there next to the Comer Barn? If you can remember the huge crowd that showed up in
Yeah.
support of that. It was a lot of
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
One
That's a
other thing I'd
win-win
like to
for
say, am I correct in saying that Hendersonville TIF also paid out before it was slated to?
It did, but, I think that was a different structure than what we're talking
lot
about,
different.
and there was risk associated with it, which I guess in the end, they didn't lose anything, but there was a lot of discomfort, because that was in a very difficult economic time. This situation could well be in a difficult economic time in the future years, but we don't have a risk. We don't have a risk. So, Mr. Fenton, you please correct anything that I might have
No,
said that's
you-
incorrect.
You've been very accurate. The one thing I'd like to add is not only will we continue to get the real property tax that's coming off of it now, any of the increase that we need to serve our debt comes to the city. So if we have 10% of our annual budget that goes towards our debt, those funds are also taken out of there. So, and we do have debt. The city does have debt, and we do have to pay that debt. And so those funds will also be realized for the city before that increment goes to the developer. And the fact that it is a private developer, there's no liability to any public entity. And this is a very rare beast. You look at the-
And it's a similar impact too, as he described, for the city, for the county. So,
Agreed, yes. Anything that the county has for debt service, for the new courthouse, for all the schools, all those funds will also be taken out of this incremental increase. So there will be an increase in funds to all of the entities, Hendersonville, Gallatin, and the county, before the developer realizes those funds. And again, as you mentioned, Mayor, this is a private investor. The private investor will not be responsible. If there's a shortfall, it will be the developers. They have taken that on themselves. So there is no liability to the investor or the city or Hendersonville or the county. So this truly is, I think,
A win-win,
something
too.
very, very positive for our county.
Ms. Hamacali, is there anything that you feel like you should add or anything that we have not touched upon that you think is relevant? Because she's been in a lot of the meetings too.
Yes. Good. Thank you.
And there is a representative here from the project tonight, if you all would like to hear from them, or if you have any questions, or.
I don't have any
This
more.
is kind of a common sense decision for me. It works. The way you look at it, it works for the city.
One thing that I think it came out last week, but the developer has also donated some land to the county for an expansion of the school or for the school to use. And it was brought up in our meeting several times that if this doesn't go there, it's probably going to be more housing that comes, which would be a bigger impact to the schools.
Well, and I'm like you, we've both been in so many meetings about, we forget about what's been discussed where, but this is, if you don't know, this is for Jack Anderson Elementary, and Jack Anderson is certainly one of the most popular schools, and with the growth in that area, the opportunity to expand, which they would not have without this land donation, is really great too. And so I appreciate that. I'm very excited. I'm very grateful for the players, both on the develop. For me to say, I'm very grateful for some developers. I really am, because this is something that I feel like is very meaningful for our community, and then also for the private investor who, like I said, truly he's doing this because he wants this for our community so badly, and how rare and wonderful is that, and I'm really grateful for that.
What happens from here? Does it go to Hendersonville and?
Well, the county, it goes back to the county. I think the Hendersonville piece is probably on down the road because they've yet to identify exactly what they're going to do there. But the pieces that they're working with right now are the city and the county. And I think they want to get this knocked out and work towards breaking ground over there. Okay. Y'all ready to vote? Any more questions? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, this is Resolution R2202-15. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. It is passed unanimously. Item number 5 is Resolution R2202-16. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution approving transfer of $191,000 for airport road improvements, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilman Alexander. I remind you, this is transferring funds from projects that have actually been under budget to one project that's over budget. So there's still staying within our project budget. Is there any question? Are there any questions, any discussion? Okay, Resolution R2202-16. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. It's passed unanimously. Item number 6 is Resolution R2202-17. Councilman Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin Council renaming Am Street and Anderson Avenue, and I so move.
Motion by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilwoman Love. I think before, when we discussed this, we were of the opinion that there was no previous name, but there are some maps that have shown both of these names at some point. So while we think of it, I think at this point in time, as the street with no name, we are moving towards giving it a very special new name with this council's support. Any questions?
When does it actually happen?
I think they have a date planned for the last weekend in February.
Okay, good.
I think that's when it would be, revealed and installed. And I think has it been through 911 already? Okay, Mr. Tuttle's nodding, so we are in the clear to do that. Okay. So, yeah, that would be it. Okay, this is Resolution R2202-17. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It's passed unanimously. That concludes the regular agenda, and it moves us now to other business. So I would ask if anyone in this council has anything to bring before this body. All right. Move along now to public recognition on non-agenda related items. As I told you at the start of the meeting, there'd be a time at the end of the meeting, and this is it. You may come forward and speak to any item that wasn't on the agenda tonight at this time. Again, you'll have 5 minutes. We ask that you introduce yourself, give us your address. Public recognition on non-agenda related items is open.
Pascal Jones, 1335 Longfellow Pike. You probably know because you got an email from us. There was an incident again on Longfellow Pike in Iceland at the pork shop. We have been bringing that issue probably more than 3 years now in front of that council, and I think it's time to do something about it. I have a couple of pictures there, Jeff. So that was basically the result of what happened. A semi-truck decided to go on Harris Lane, and that's basically the result of what happened. And I was actually passing by, leaving my property when that happened, so I took a video of it. He was trying to make an illegal left turn, and instead of doing like they all do, go on the left lane, he decided to go on the right lane, and he basically took everything out. By doing that, he blew one of his airline on his on the trailer, and emergency brake engaged, so he could not move. So he has basically to block traffic. People got stuck for a bunch of time. So here's what was happening. A second driver came out, trying to put everything out. Actually went help them because the guy was basically stuck. I think that's the last one. So these happen regularly there, probably once a month. It's taxpayer money. I called the GPD who came here and did a fantastic job. They block the way in, they blocked Harris Lane, they blocked everything, so there was at least three patrol car there for, I don't know, probably an hour and a half there, blocking 3 officers. The damage, the cost, I think I talked to city engineer the next day because the metallic rail was basically in the middle of the road, and I see that got cut off. So Nick took action right away, and I thank him for that. But I think it's time to for you guys to give green light to engineering and road to do something about it, because somebody is going to get hurt, and that's been going for 3 years. So maybe it's time to do something now, save some money. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition on non-agenda related items this evening?
Good evening. My name is Joe DeBoer, and I live at 1007 Hart Street here in Gallatin, Tennessee. First thing I would like to do is put out a challenge to this august board. I think it's time for this year, when we go to look at the budget, that we drop the property tax down by 5 cents, down from 80 to 75. Now, why would an old fat man do that to anybody? Well, first issue, we have a lot more people coming into our community that is spending a little more money. We've had a lot of growth in our city. And to be quite brutally frank with you, because of the cost of living has gone up, we're going to gain more sales tax. Just that simple.
when you go up with your rates and stuff, you're gonna go up with sales tax. And this will also help those of us at the low end of the spectrum, as far as money is concerned, help us a little bit with regard to how much taxes we have to pay. To be quite brutally frank, after the reassessment, and even with the drop that the city did from 99 to 80 cents, my taxes went up on my property, okay? So I think that would be wise for us to push the pencil, get with Miss Rachel back here, who's the best in the world, and see if we can't drop that by 5 cents next July. And we can also see how much more, we're talking about more money coming in because of your deal out there on Shoot Lane. More is coming in. When I look at the paper and see all the transactions, in one neighborhood, there was 3 houses, and that's $1 million. So that was before you even, this is more on top of what we already have. So I think that would be a wise thing to look at. If we can't do it, we can't do it. But the thing of it is, we ought to look into it. That's the first issue. Second issue has to do with the fact that we noticed that Miss Rosemary Bates, bless her heart, she's the best in the world. She got another job here a while back in the papers, looked good in the paper. But the question is, after she gets through with this wonderful job over here with Albert Gallatin, has she got another job somewhere that we might be able to put her on as far as a road building project? She's the best. We ought to be able to see what we can do about that.
We just put her on a job, Joe.
You got one, but that could be another one. Next issue is I contacted Audubon Society today, and they told me that you'd be able to take little round tires like everybody has on their lawn and garden tractor, and might be able to make things out of them. In other words, doing a recycling program with that, using them as bird houses of all things. I'm going to look into that and see if we can't find another way to get rid of our material that we need to recycle. Last and final thing is this. I've been working on a little project over in a little neighborhood across the railroad track. Been at it for some time. And what we're looking at is providing a street with sidewalks and widen the street. And the reason why you want to do it in that neighborhood is because that is in a neighborhood that is underdeveloped, right next to a park, Clearfield Park. And that's why I looked at that one. It's real short duration street. Had a lot of problems with water in the neighborhood, about flooding in people's homes and stuff like that. But here's what we ran into. Rather interesting. It's not because we did not have a right-of-way for our street and for the sidewalks. We already have the right-of-way, no question. The question is allowing us to go on private property in order to do the job which we would have to do and getting that set up. And each party would have to come up with allowing us to do that. We've been working on that, and it has not come to fruition. But I just want to know that we do have right-of-way in a lot of this town. There are some places we don't, but that is one place that we do. And in all my neighborhood, we do. So let's get cracking. Thank you.
Cut taxes, and there goes Joe's sidewalk.
Anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition on non-agenda related items? This is your opportunity. Okay, seeing no one, we'll declare public recognition on non-agenda related items closed, bringing us down to a final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second by Councilman Overton. All in favor, please say aye. Everyone have a lovely evening. Please treat each other respectfully and be kind. Good night.